It's safe to say that we have to thank the MCU for a lot of things from the last 10 plus years, and one of those things is, of course, Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange, a character that many people have been trying in vain to bring to the big screen for years. So if by any chance you aren't a fan of the MCU, then you'll be happy to know that there's one more thing you can hate Disney for, and that's turning down what could have been one of their best movies, a Doctor Strange movie that was directed by Guillermo Del Toro and written by Neil Gaiman. So what if it happened? What if Marvel Studios decided that they were interested in their vision and actually let it come to pass? Simply put, what if Guillermo Del Toro's Doctor Strange was made? So let's say, hypothetically, Guillermo del Toro makes his Doctor Strange movie a reality. So what would it have been like? So for starters, for those of you who are not familiar with Guillermo del Toro's work, he's best known for his outstanding makeup and practical effects work, and generally just the unique feel that his movies have. But despite some of his movies not being as good as others, one thing that people can agree upon is that every movie he's made has been an absolutely breathtaking spectacle to behold. In fact, one of his most recent movies, The Shape of Water, even won him an Oscar for Best Picture. Now, besides The Shape of Water, he's also known for directing the kaiju epic Pacific Rim, the gothic war fairy tale Pan's Labyrinth, Blade 2, and both of the original Hellboy movies. However, Del Toro was certainly not going to be doing this movie on his own. Another famous name was attached to be the writer, and that was Neil Gaiman. Gaiman is, of course, famous for his various contributions to the world of literature, including Coraline, The Sandman, and The Graveyard Book, just to name a few, all of which have absolutely influenced a lot of Gothic writers over the years. Gaiman became very interested in doing a Doctor Strange movie after he actually worked on a comic book miniseries for Marvel titled Marvel 1602, a story that actually featured the character of Doctor Strange. Writing it, he decided he really wanted to bring Doctor Strange to the big screen because he saw a lot of potential in that character, and working with his friend Guillermo del Toro was the perfect way to do that. Now, it should be noted that there were plenty of Doctor Strange projects in the works before this one. The rights to Doctor Strange would actually be purchased by Marvel Studios from Miramax in April of 2005, and that was after numerous attempts to get a Doctor Strange movie off the ground in the late 90s and the early 2000s, with Blade's David S. Goyer and Stephen Norrington failed to get off the ground. The idea behind reacquiring the rights to Doctor Strange would stem from the fact that Marvel Studios was beginning its development of what would become the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the biggest movie franchise in cinematic history, even bigger than Star Wars, and they initially envisioned Doctor Strange to be one of the first MCU movies, with Guillermo del Toro and Neil Gaiman pitching an idea for the movie to Marvel in 2007, with an estimated release of 2009 or 2010. Now, this version of the movie would have featured Oded Fehr as Doctor Strange, Rosamund Pike as Clea, Ron Perlman as Baron Mordo, Tai Ma as Wong, James Hong as the Ancient One, and Doug Jones as Dormammu. Now, this movie likely would have been fairly similar to the version that we got in 2016, but with more horror elements and probably less attempts at comedy, although Del Toro has been known to have a dark sense of humor in other movies, so I wouldn't be surprised if it at least had a little comedy. Now, if they were planning to stick to the usual comic book origin, then this movie may not have too much of a romantic subplot, because in the comics, Doctor Strange and Clea only actually meet shortly before his final battle with Dormammu, meaning she would probably be set up as a proper love interest for the sequel instead, similar to what they would end up doing with MJ in Spider-Man Homecoming, leading into Far From Home. And that's what Guillermo del Toro's Doctor Strange was going to be. Basically, it was going to be based on the Doctor Strange origin comic, which is what the eventual movie was based on, but it was going to be probably darker, more horrific, and with probably even better visual effects. Because while the visual effects of the Doctor Strange movie we got were absolutely lauded, and deservedly so, I do think Guillermo del Toro's would have looked better just because of his practical effects. Practical effects, I'm sorry, I know it's going to make me sound like an old man, but it's true. Practical effects always look better than CGI. That's just, it's fact. I'm sorry, but it is. And I don't necessarily think Doctor Strange needs to be done with practical effects, but I think it would look really really, really good with practical effects, honestly. As far as the cast goes, I like the cast. I think that the cast works. I think, except for Ron Perlman as Baron Mordo, I think he might be too boisterous for that role. But then again, I mean, there's no one saying that Baron Mordo can't be boisterous, I guess. So if that was the direction they're going, then he would have been a great fit. He definitely would have fit the role physically, although he might have been a little too old. But then again, Oded Fair was getting up there as well. And Doctor Strange is supposed to be a bit middle-aged. That's why he has gray in his hair. So, maybe it would have worked. I don't know. But Ron Perlman as Baron Mordo sounds a bit to me. But maybe they could have made it work. Rosamund Pike is great in everything that she does. Honestly, she's never really given a truly awful performance as far as I know. So I think she would have done a good job. Oded Fair was one of my favorite parts of the Mummy movies, and I think he would have been a good Doctor Strange. I think he would have been different, than Benedict Cumberbatch for sure. Tai as Wong, I think, would have worked. He was one of the few actors in the Mulan live-action remake that I liked. I overall hated that movie, but I liked his performance, which was a very warm and moving performance. And I think he would have given a very good performance as Wong. James Hong is the Ancient One. I have a soft spot for James Hong because I grew up with Big Trouble in Little China, and in that movie, he played a villain. So I'm kind of used to him being a villain, but I've seen him in other things where he's softer, and I think, honestly, he does carry this air of ancient wisdom to him. I don't know how to explain it. He just kind of carries that with him. So I think he would have done a fantastic job as the Ancient One. Although, again, as I said, the Ancient One nowadays is more known for, being Tilda Swinton, being a female. I actually didn't even know that the Ancient One was male in the original version until I read about this. So that goes to show how little I know about the comics. But from what I know about Doctor Strange, this does sound like it would be good. Doug Jones as Dormammu, that's fine. Dormammu usually doesn't have that big of a presence. He's a big villain, for sure, don't get me wrong. But as far as I know, he's not really the biggest villain. Like, he's not Doctor Strange's primary antagonist or anything. And Doug Jones, he's a regular for Guillermo Del Toro, and that's because he's always good. So I think he would have been good as Dormammu, because he's good at playing both good and bad and in between. So he can really do it all. I think he would have been good. And of course, Guillermo Del Toro and Neil Gaiman, talk about a match made in heaven, man. That sounds amazing. I love Guillermo Del Toro and Neil Gaiman's work. Absolutely fantastic. The Coraline movie is one of the best adaptations of Neil Gaiman's work, in my opinion. And The Sandman is one of the best pieces of literature ever written, regardless of format, in my opinion. And combining that with Guillermo del Toro, who, as I said, is one of my favorite movie directors. And honestly, his filmography pisses me off because he should have so many more movies, but they keep getting canceled on him. Because Guillermo del Toro is the kind of guy that if a studio tells him what to do, he's not going to listen. He's the kind of guy that does not like studio interference. And if he gets studio interference, he's going to go. Like, if Marvel went over to him and was like, oh no, do this, he'd be like, no. Oh, well, you have to. No, I don't. Goodbye. I quit. That's kind of his attitude. He doesn't want to do things any differently than what he wants to do. And I respect that. I honestly do. More directors need that kind of backbone, in my opinion. And that's why so many of his movies get canceled, because it's his way or the highway. And honestly, his way is great. Do his way. I absolutely love Del Toro's work. I think he would have done amazing things with Doctor Strange. That is an absolute match made in heaven. Gorgeous visual effects, which with Guillermo del Toro's, directing style, that sounds like a dream to me. This cast is great. Neil Gaiman is writer, absolutely great. Overall, I think this movie has all the ingredients to be great, and it absolutely was one of the biggest missed opportunities in the MCU. I'm not even saying that the actual Doctor Strange is bad, because it's not. Although it is disappointing. I do think the actual Doctor Strange with Benedict Cumberbatch could have been a lot better. Maybe the sequel will be a lot better. It looks like the sequel is going to be taking a lot more risks. Good luck, Sam Raimi. I'm so glad to see you back with Marvel. But yeah, I mean, overall, I do think that this is one of the most slept on canceled movie projects ever. Like, nobody ever talks about it, and I don't know why. I honestly don't. If this movie had been made, it probably would have been one of the best MCU movies, and it might have been one of the best superhero origins ever. Like, I legitimately think that. The fact that Guillermo Del Toro has made so little superhero movies despite his amazing prowess is just, you know, fucking awful. Like, he should absolutely be making more superhero movies. They should be giving him way more chances. And honestly, I think the main issue with the MCU in general is that they don't let directors do their own thing a lot. They kind of bully directors into doing things like, oh, you can't do it that way because it has to fit in with this movie. And that means that each movie has to tie into something else and they can't stand on their own. And I think Guillermo Del Toro could have helped to bring some individuality to an MCU movie and really make it feel like a movie that could be watched with no prior knowledge of the other MCU movies. And he would have done it so well. I'm honestly sad that this movie didn't get made. And again, I like the Doctor Strange we got. I just think that this version would have been a million times better than that. Like, the Doctor Strange we got is like a B tier movie, in my opinion. This is like an A++. Like, this sounds like it could have been absolutely perfect. Like, amazing. One of the best superhero movies ever, possibly. I might be over glorifying it. I don't know. I admit I'm a huge Del Toro fanboy, but I honestly think that that the praise he gets is absolutely justified because he's amazing. But let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of this Neil Gaiman, Guillermo Del Toro, Doctor Strange movie. Do you think that I'm overhyping it? Let me know. Would you have liked to see this movie instead of the one we got, or do you think that, the one we got is better? Let me know in the comments down below, and also give me more what if recommendations for other canceled movies, or just anything that comes to mind, any what if scenarios that you can think of. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and share with all of your friends on all your various social media platforms. And I'll see everyone in the next video.